First, begin with the data logging PCB, and you're going to solder the surface mount components. The best way that I can do this is by putting solder on one end of the component, and then putting the component itself on, and then soldering the other end to the other pad. This just makes it a lot easier to have good control of the component, but definitely if you have solder paste and a refill oven, that would be an option as well and would make things go quicker. Next, solder on all of the through-hole components after you finish all of the surface mount components. And after you solder the data logging board, solder the surface mount components for the power board and the through-hole components for the power board as well. So the final product should end up looking like this for the power board, and then like this for the data logging board. And more in-depth soldering tutorials are available online. Next, go ahead and drill in holes for the waterproofing glands. This allows some things to stick out of the housing, and you want these holes to be about 3/4 of an inch so that the PG11 cable glands can fit through, and you can just fasten those on like this. I also add Flex Seal on the outside for extra waterproofing around the place where the gland meets the ABS. So you should end up with 5 holes in your package. To put the wires in, you put the cap over the wire and then you can screw it in, but the problem with these wires is that the glands do not close enough and there's a lot of room. So the way that I tried to fix this is I put a piece of heat shrink and then wrap that heat shrink with electrical tape, and that way it can move up and down the wire for the cable gland, and you want it to be about 4/10 of an inch in thickness just so that the gland will close up around it. So once you have that on there, put the cap over the component and over the gland, and then where the gland meets the opening of the grommet, that's where you want to start putting the cap back on, and make sure that you close it really tightly. For extra waterproofing, I added a little bit of hot glue on the end where the extra electrical tape meets the wire. Do that with the power cable, with the ambient pressure tube, with the transducer connector, and with the ultrasonic sensor. And so after all of that, this is what the outer housing should look like for your package.